Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Sacred Ship, a space where scripture loosens its grip and belief stops ruling and consciousness remembers itself. When emotions lead without interpretation, it becomes commanding instead of informative. We are starting a new platform and lessons, not to change your belief, but to make you more aware of your consciousness. Therefore, we're starting with the foundation of your awareness, your emotion. Awareness isn't distance, it's clarity. Remember last week, we talked about there are a litany of questions that we have to ask ourselves um, when dealing with our emotions. Am I responding to an emotion or am I reacting? There are questions I need to ask myself. Am I trying to protect myself or understand myself in this experience? Have I examined this emotion or am I obeying it? Three key things to remember when the emotion shows up, we have to identify, translate, and interpret. Three things: identify, translate, and interpret. We changed our broadcast time from Mondays at 7 p.m. to Sundays 7 p.m. on Sacred Ship at NBC Mac on YouTube. We changed our broadcast time from Mondays at 7 p.m. to Sundays 7 p.m. on Sacred Shift at NBC Mac on YouTube. We've also started a new Sacred Shift Facebook page. And for the next 60 days, or at the point that we get 100 followers, we will not be able to broadcast on Facebook. So we're asking that you go to the Sacred Shift page, subscribe, and follow us so that you will be alerted about future teachings. If you would like to come on the broadcast live tonight, the link will be in the chat. If you'd like to come on the broadcast live tonight, the link will be in the chat. Now, let us receive our teachings. Pastor Keith, are you ready?
Coming on, coming on. Yep, we're getting there. We greet all of you in our Christ presence, and we thank you all for tuning in to the broadcast tonight. We have a lot to unpack, and we're looking forward to sharing with you the finalization of the teachings that's dealing with the emotions, how your emotions are connected with your nervous system. Your nervous system tells the rest of your body what to do. And so we want to share with you how the emotions that show up that brings you into an experience, how those emotions uh, are sometimes used to control what you believe, to draw you into a particular religion. And so we just want to lift some things up. Again, it is not our goal, it is not our intentions to change what you believe. We want to make you aware of information of your spiritual presence in order that you may be able to facilitate through your journey in this dimension. Tonight, I want to make a statement that about emotions, what they should do and what they should not do. Okay, that's very important for you to understand what your emotions should do and what they should not do. Emotions should signal where attention is needed. When you have an emotional experience, what that is doing is letting you know that you need to pay attention to something. Okay, it reveals some unsolved conditioning. Okay, something's just not right. Okay, and it points to the inner contradictions of what you're dealing with at that particular time. Now, understand that when you're going through the process of an emotion, it happens so quickly. It's not like you have a lot of time to reflect on it, that sort of thing. If you have trained yourself, your inner consciousness, to respond to that particular emotion that you are experiencing, then this process goes really quick. Okay. So emotions should not define your God. You know, a lot of us get caught up in our emotions about God. Um, we say we love God. We say we love Jesus, but yet we really have not had any experience with the God or with Jesus. Okay. And so your experience has to come from inward, and that's where your data is going to give you who God or who Jesus is. Okay, not I'm feeling something. Okay, your emotions should not decide your truth. Okay, it should not promote your belief. Emotions are an experience, and when emotions lead without the interpretation that Elder Walt spoke of earlier, they can become commanding instead of informative. You are looking for information in every emotion that you are experiencing. You're looking for information. Okay. Now, here's the problem that emerges when emotions come. Okay. Because again, remember, emotion is a category. There's multiple emotions within that category that has access to your being. Okay. Now, decisions that are made at emotional peaks and lows causes you to make decisions prematurely. Okay. And then afterwards, you may regret the decision that you've made because the emotion led your function. Okay. You became confused in the experience. Okay. And that is what we call allowing temporary feelings to dictate, you know, a permanent choice that should be solidified within your process, your evolution. We oftentimes make bad decisions based on how we're feeling. Okay. That data comes in, we emotionalize that information, And then we make a decision based on the emotion and not necessarily the information. So your conscious is supposed to process that information through your godness, okay? Your godness. We all have God in us. We are the God that is functioning within this body. And a lot of people are afraid to identify with that idea, that concept. If the Bible says that you were made from God's likeness and God's image, if that is true, then how can you deny that you are God functioning within this body? Now, you have something to do with it. Okay, it's not like God is here and you're not. No, God, the Creator, is participating with you in this experience. And so once you grasp that the power of the universe, the multiverse, the power that calls everything to be is participating with me. Once you grasp that, that should let you know that you have access to that power, okay? Now, when an emotion shows up, it can open you to the sacred, okay? It can open your door to the sacred, but that emotion cannot interpret what it reveals. Only you can interpret what has opened up in you, okay? When emotions become the authority, okay, then God becomes a feeling, okay, because your emotion is in charge and not your consciousness. So the God that you're believing in or that you're serving becomes a feeling, and God is not a feeling, God is energy, okay? So that is why we spoke a lot about being aware, okay? Being aware of the emotion, okay? Again, you got to identify it, you got to translate it, and you got to interpret it. So you got to go through that process. When the awareness becomes the authority, the creator becomes present, okay? Because you now have identified with that energy, because the creator is energy, and the creator perhaps is utilizing that emotion to construct you, to teach you something. However, if you are not associating the creator with that emotion, then that emotion becomes your creator. Don't become the creator, it becomes your creator, because you have now given that emotion power, or what I like to call authority, okay? So what happens in a negative sense when emotions begin to lead, okay, the emotion that has taken the lead in you begins to merge your ideas, your concepts, your decisions with others' emotional states, okay? You know how your girlfriend would say, girl, if I was you. Your guy would say, man, if I was you. Okay, now you're emerging the emotional experience that you all are experiencing together. Because the emotional experience could only be designed for you, but because you are manifesting your experience to others, others enter into the experience and begin to influence what your decision is going to be or which direction you're going to go. Okay. You also can begin to feel responsible how the other people are feeling that's associated with that emotional experience. You start looking at their reactions. Okay. Now you've lost clarity of the intention of the emotional experience or the emotion that is dealing with you, okay, that's affecting you, okay? So when we get into that experience, and I don't know where
We lost your video. Yeah, we lost your video.
Yeah, see, let me see.
I could try to add you to stage. Yeah, that didn't do it either.
Well, hopefully I'll pop back on. My goal is to make sure you get the information. So my moderator, that's not me, y'all. That's my moderator.
That's
And
Ashe.
he'll he'll
Keep
he'll
teaching.
be there so that you know that you're not alone. Let me see if I'll put him up there for a minute until my video come back. All right, we
All
good?
right, we'll rock with that. We'll rock with that.
All right. So because we begin to involve others into our emotional experience, we begin to lose something. Okay, we begin to mistake empathy, which is the understanding of something, for obligation. Now, our understanding no longer rules. We feel with that we're obligated to do something. Okay, so we lose that when we are emotionally led by the emotion. Now, this creates energetic entanglement. Okay, it creates energetic entanglement because remember, all emotions are energies. Okay, and all energies are of the creator. Okay, all energy. I don't care what the energy is, it is of the creator. There's no two sources of energy. You know, we like to think that there's the devil, which is a source, and then there's God, which is a source. So one would think that there's two energies when there's not two energies, there's one energy. And because we have gotten caught up in this back and forth with those who have joined us in our emotional experience, we enter into what we call energetic entanglement. Okay. Now, over time, this is going to lead to you becoming exhausted dealing with this situation. Okay. You're going to become resentful because you're dealing with a particular situation. you become numb, okay, because you're dealing with a situation, because you have now entered into the physical realm of participating with that experience versus dealing with it from a point of awareness. Okay. When you're dealing with it from a point of awareness, you are dealing with it from your consciousness. Okay. Now, understand this, that emotions, they exist to serve your consciousness, not to rule it. Okay. Now, you can allow the emotion to be your ruler, to be your guide, but that's not the design of the emotion. Okay. The creator is utilizing these emotions to prepare us for something. Okay. These emotions become guides. Okay. They become guides. They're not your God or your teachers. They are just a point of guidance. Okay. When you honor your emotion, okay, and not worship it, they return to their original purpose, okay, to help awareness remember itself. That's the design of the emotion, is to help the awareness to remember itself. See, because everything that you are going to ever need, everything that the creator wants you to do, every place the creator wants you to go, everything that's associated with the creator has already been placed within you. Okay. This is why Jesus says, for the kingdom, the rule of God is within you. Okay. You got to understand that it's within you. It's not outside of you, like we've been taught to look outside of ourselves for God. That energy is inside of you, and it is designed with a purpose. It is designed with a purpose. And so as we build ourselves up from the ground up, we have to understand that these emotions are real, and these emotions can take over, okay, because you have elected not to lead them. You have elected for them to lead you, to make the decision. Okay. Now, in our development, okay, from birth up until your present moment, we were taught that religion is supposed to be our guide. Okay. For that reason, and that reason alone, our dependence on religion disrupt our physical outcomes. Because of what we have elected to believe, that has promoted our outward manifestation. If I had chose to be a Catholic, my lifestyle would probably be different. If I had chose to be a Muslim, my lifestyle would probably be different. If I had chose to follow Buddhism or Confucian, my lifestyle would probably be different, to control us, to send us. I don't know. My screen is acting a fool now.
We don't appear to be having any problems out here, Pastor. Is anybody having a problem? Please state it in the comment section. Any problem with your audio or video out there? And I get a comment that all is well out there. Yeah, Pastor, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but we've lost the audio and video with you. And Brother Charles says he's lost everything out there, the audio and video. Dominique's got audio. Could be you're saying something they don't like again. All right, stand by, everybody. We're going to try a reboot for Pastor. Stand by. Test, 1, 2, 3. Test, Pastor, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Roger, got you. It says you entered the studio, but we still don't have a video on you.
Yeah, I see my
But you're back.
camera.
You're back in the studio. We can hear you again.
My camera's not. Okay, I rebooted my camera to see if that changes anything. Okay, there we go.
Can you all hear Pastor now out there? Still working on the video, but can you hear him? Okay, we have video again. All right. Wifey said she has both audio and video. Okay. Dominique can hear you. Thanks, sis. Brother Charles, you still with us? There you are.
Okay. All right, I'm back. A lot of things done changed since. All right, well, we'll go with this. Let me. I don't know what happened on YouTube. You remember where I left off?
I don't think you said anything.
I was talking about our development, and we were, taught that religion is supposed to be our guide, and that's not the case.
Right, right.
Okay, our dependency on religion has disrupted our physical outcomes because we have followed someone else's ideas of how and who to worship. Okay, how and who to worship. We came to this country, and when our ancestors came to this country, they came as slaves, and so therefore they were given a replacement of their religion. Okay, and the replacement was someone else's belief system or religion. Okay, and that distorted those ancestors who had a different belief system. Okay, we have to understand that because of what our ancestors went through, okay, the experiences that our ancestors went through was passed on down through generational lines. Okay, we teach our babies in particular while the baby is in the mother's womb. The baby is learning from the mother's experience And the mother is learning from her outward experiences. It's kind of like when they wanted to teach the slaves not to run or to be obedient. They would take one slave and maybe bury that slave from the neck up and neck down, and then allow dogs to bite on them and that sort of thing, so that the fear would enter into the mother, and that fear enters into the child that the mother is carrying. And so all those who are visually seeing this experience is experiencing something of their own. The inward experience is being transferred down to that child. And because of that, we were taught to fear emotions, okay? Because of those experiences, we were taught to fear emotions. We were taught to distrust emotion, to distrust them, okay? Remember, emotions are designed to bring you a message, okay? And so because of the various different experiences that we have gone through, both white and black, all nationalities, we were being taught to obey how we're feeling, not to obey right or wrong, but to obey how we are feeling, okay? And because we are in the belief or the religion of God, okay, we're being taught in the religion of God, we begin to make those confessions about the emotions that we are experiencing, okay? And the results of that came fear, okay? Fear became a sign of truth. Just think about that for a minute. Fear became a sign of truth, okay? That fear was teaching, okay? Now, we have multiple outcomes from the one experience that, let's say, 50 people are experiencing. Everybody's experience is going to be different, okay? And we can now enter into an experience of guilt, and that guilt helps to formulate our morality, okay? Helps to formulate our morality, because those who were on the other side of fear, they were learning morality. Those that were in the fear was learning morality. You bet not, you bet not, you bet not, okay? And because it was all associated with religion or belief system, sometimes shame will show up. That energy called shame will show up, and our shame becomes our righteousness, okay? And because our shame became our righteousness, the religion replaced the inner awareness with emotional obedience. We obey out of emotion, not out of truth. Okay, we've learned that. It's a learned behavior. We didn't have to learn how to do various different things. Our parents didn't teach us how to have sex. That was a learned behavior. Our parents did not teach us how to steal or to steal. That became a learned behavior. So a lot of our development came through learned behavior, okay? Those things were not innate in us. We learned those things, okay? I was saying that the emotions that we function in and with, it had an original design. It had an original design that the creator intended for it to do. Okay, they were never meant to control you, not emotions. Okay, they were meant to inform you. This is why, again, as I say, a lot of times the emotion is regulated by an event. Something's going on in your life, something going on in someone you love's life. Okay, so it becomes an event. And so we have to learn, again, the emotion that we're experiencing is meant to inform us and not to control us. Okay, so this energy that becomes motion, it becomes motion because we choose to function in it. Okay, we choose to function in that emotion. Okay, now the emotion is not the problem. It's the misinterpretation of the emotion is the problem. Okay, they supposed to, emotions are supposed to be beneficial. Okay, they bring signals to point out where you are in alignment or where you are misaligned. Okay, they come to bring awareness to your unconscious belief. Okay, the truth is in you. Okay, the kingdom is the rule of the creator, or of God, as you would call them. The kingdom is the rule. Okay, and that rule has a desire to experience a particular event. Okay, that is the design of the creator, is that the creator wants to experience the things that goes on in this dimension, because this is a three-dimensional world and the creator is not three-dimensional. The only way that the creator can experience this three-dimensional world is to experience it through you. Okay, it can experience the two-dimensional world through an insect, okay, or a mammal. Okay, it can experience a one-dimensional world through a plant. Okay, we have to understand that I'm here with a purpose. I'm here for a reason. Okay, I'm here because the creator has chosen this season, this time, okay, for me. And those energies that the creator sends my way, okay, they move through my body. Okay, and because they move through my body, they release stored up meaning. Okay, emotions are to define something. They are designed to teach you something. Okay, they're not to be idolized or to boast about or anything like that. No, you learn and you respond and you represent from your learning. Okay, the creator wants to know how it feels to be involved in an automobile accident. Okay, when I was in my truck the other day, and I had no clue that I was going to be rear-ended. A guy rear-ended me, and it happened so quickly. Things you didn't have time to be afraid because you didn't see that experience coming. Okay. I didn't have the thought to be afraid after the event because everything was fine. Okay. I began to realize the impact of the event. The impact was so severe that it knocked my glove compartment open, and now my glove compartment doesn't close like it should from the experience of being rear-ended. Okay. See, some experiences does not promote fight, flight, or fear. Okay, because you didn't have time to evaluate or to process the fight, flight, or fear. Okay, you process that experience from the experience. Fear wasn't an association of it. Anger wasn't even an association of me being rear-ended. So I didn't allow those emotions to enter into that experience because I could have got ticked off with the young brother that rear-ended me. I could have, been out cussing and all upset. No. I'm not going to allow those emotions to dictate the outcome of the event. The young brother got out very respectful, very caring. So it would have been wrong of me to make him fear me because I'm cussing and fussing about something that really had very little meaning when it comes to he and I. Okay, he and I was the difference, not the vehicles. He and I. Matter of fact, his vehicle was worse off than mine. Okay, so when healthy emotions, see, I would consider that a healthy emotion because I learned from it. I didn't get upset and cuss and fuss and act like like I'm something else other than who I am. I didn't go there. Okay, so that emotion, although one would call it a negative experience, was really a healthy emotional experience. Okay, that emotion was informative. It began to inform my awareness. Okay, it wasn't given permission to be in control. Okay, I didn't see that situation as being a good situation or a bad situation. It was a situation. Okay, and I named that situation, and I experienced a healthy outcome. Now, all of that did not take place at the moment. It did not take place even afterwards. But when you get an opportunity to reflect and begin to interpret what happened, then you see that that experience was useful for you. Okay, I didn't identify with anger. That I could have said I'm angry, I'm upset. Okay, now I'm re-identifying who I am. Okay, so I was not going to permit that experience, that emotional experience, to cause me to suffer. Okay, to cause me to suffer, because when you experience an emotion in an adverse way or a negative way, you begin to false identify who you are. Okay, I'm angry. Okay, I'm afraid. I'm guilty. I've been rejected. I am broken. Okay. You begin to say, identify with something, and that something is lesser than you. Okay. You begin to self-identify with these emotions, and these emotions will begin to cause an experience. Okay. So it's because of the religious upbringing. Okay. This religion upbringing reinforces this type of teaching. Okay. This type of reacting. Okay. Because, they tell you in the church, you are a sinner. Okay. But you saved by grace. Okay. Now, you can't be a sinner if we look at it theologically. Theologically, the Bible teaches that Jesus came to replace sin, okay, to die for sin. If Jesus came to die for sin, that means that Jesus replaced sin with salvation, according to the scriptures. So if Jesus replaced sin with salvation, then there's no opportunity for sin to reign. Sin cannot reign if Jesus took sin off the board. Sin is no longer on the board because Jesus died for it. But yet the church will call you a sinner, and you came after Jesus took sin off the board. So if you didn't know any better, there would be no such thing as sin in your vocabulary, because sin was taken off the board and was replaced with salvation. Okay. They say because you did some negative things, you now fall under condemnation. You're guilty of the negative things that you did. How can I be guilty of negative things that I did when the negative things that I did were never identified as sin, because sin was taken off the board? Okay. I'm technically saved from being guilty. Okay. I'm technically saved from being unworthy. They tell you unworthy. You're not worthy of this. Okay. See, these emotions, they connect to your being if you let them. If you let someone tell you that you are a sinner and then you begin to say so, you got a problem. If you receive someone else's guilt, okay, you got a problem. I'm not guilty of anything because I have the right to do anything that I choose to do. That's my right. That's my free will. Now, someone else may interpret what I do as being negative, but it wasn't necessarily negative to me because I chose to do that. Okay, so we have to be careful when we allow emotions to be connected to our being, who we are. Okay, who we are. Now, because we got held up, I need to get to this one piece. I want to talk about fear. Okay. Instead of defining fear as false evidence appearing real, fear, those the acronym, false evidence appearing real, I want you to think of fear in this way. Let me put this overlay up. I want you to think of fear in this way. I just put up an overlay. And I hope you can see that clearly. But fear, if we take the acronym FEAR and we look at focus, emotion, agitation, repetition. Okay. These are the basis or ingredients that will produce better physical outcome if you focus, look at the emotion, deal with the agitation, and then deal with repetition. Now, let me go here. Okay. Let me see if I can put this I had to change my whole screen so I don't have that piece, but let me read it to you. Fear, not a threat, but a process. See fear as a process. Fear is often treated as an enemy, but in reality, fear is a pattern process of the nervous system, not a spiritual failure. When we understand its components, fear loses its authority and becomes information like it's supposed to be. So we look at the focus. Let's focus. Fear begins with focus. Whatever the mind fixates on, danger, loss, rejection, punishment, the nervous system follows. So whatever you fixate your thinking on, okay, your nervous system follows it. Focus determines direction. Where attention goes, energy flows. Where your attention goes, that's where your energy is going to flow. Fear narrows awareness until the mind sees only the threat and forget its presence. Okay? E, emotion. Focused attention activates emotion. Emotion is the body's response to what the mind believes is happening. Emotion itself is not the problem, it is the data that is the problem. The issue arises when emotion is mistaken for truth rather than treated as a signal. The emotion has to be treated as a signal. A equals agitation. Unexamined emotion creates agitation. Unexamined. The body moves into one of these three responses: fight, flight, or freeze. Agitation short circuits clarity. Okay? In this state, reaction replaces response, and survival overrides consciousness. So you have to understand and look at the agitation of the experience. R equals repetition. What is not observed gets repeated. When focus, emotions, and agitation loop without awareness, the nervous system memorizes the pattern. Repetition returns fear into identity, habit, doctrines, and belief, especially in religious and relational spaces. Repetition, let me read that again. Repetition turns fear into identity, to habit, to doctrine, what you believe, and your belief, especially in religious and relational spaces. Fear is not something to be cast out, it is something to be understood. When awareness enters the cycle, repetition breaks, focus widens, emotion softens, agitation settles. And then your presence returns. Fear loses power the moment it is seen, not because it disappears, but because consciousness is now in charge. Emotions were never meant to be your enemy. Religion didn't create emotions, but it distorts them. Emotions exist to serve awareness, not replace it. When belief loosens its grip, emotions return to its original role, guiding consciousness back to itself. This is sacred shift where emotions are honored but no longer worshiped. All right, peoples. I don't know what happened tonight, and I do apologize for what happened tonight. But we pray that you were able to receive, in spite of the disruption. That disruption was permitted in order for us to learn from it. Something was there for us to learn. Maybe you needed to learn patience and stay connected and wait till we come back. I don't know what your design was for this last hour that we've spent together, but it was a learning experience for all of us. Okay. So again, we thank you for tuning in and for being patient with us. Did we have any questions, comments, or concerns, Elder Walt?
Not at this time. I want to say something though.
Yes, sir.
This weekend, I had lunch with my younger daughter. You know, I have two. I had lunch with the younger one, and usually, you know, our conversations, because of I say it's because of the generation gap, the generations after us. You know, they say we're old school, and I guess they're new school, and so we bump heads a lot because our values and our standards, our belief systems should be close anyway, but they're different. And I was able to apply when the conversation started going in the direction that a lot of our conversations do. I began to apply some of these things we've been talking about, you know, the past 2, 3 weeks. And we got there. We went to Texas Roadhouse. They opened at 11. We got there about 11:30, 11:45, and we didn't leave till about 2:30, quarter to three, because you know our conversation was going in the directions that they normally go in, and you know one of us blows up and it's all over. And you know I began to apply some of these teachings, and then I tried to share them with her, which you know that didn't go smoothly, but we got past it, and you know the mood changed back to where it started from, and like I said, we was there 2 3 hours. And so I just wanted to say thank you, and that you know this is good information, and you know it's our job to apply it once we learn it. Once you know we get it from you, it's to apply it
So,
and see want to change your life, you know, your living.
and you probably were experiencing multiple different emotions that erected in the dialogue. You know, it's hard to learn from each other when there's dialogue. Okay.
Okay.
Somebody
Okay.
got to be the receptor, and the other one got to be the transmitter in order
Yeah,
for
it don't go
learning.
that way with us.
Right, right. In order for learning to take place, you got to have a transmitter and a receptor. And
Yes.
so sometimes people, when you in a situation like Elder Walt was in earlier, you might want to stop, pause, and say, okay, I think at this point we should have a monologue. I want to do a monologue because I need you to hear what I'm saying. And so a monologue suggests that you be the only one that talk. You're not looking for a rebuttal. You're not looking for an interruption. You just want that person to hear. And when you finish with your monologue, then you can say, okay, I want to hear from you. I'm going to become the receptor and you become the transmitter. And I'm going to listen to you because I believe what you have to say is as important as what I needed to say. See, now you're managing a situation. So you got to identify the emotions that you're dealing with, and then you got to interpret them and then translate that stuff to yourself, and then you're going to take another approach at it. And this is how we win, is when we stop, look, and listen. When we stop, look, and listen, like the stylistics say, stop, look, and listen, and then re-engage. Now, I'm not suggesting that you back down from anything, but once you see that communication is not taking place, you got to redesign the communication, the method of the communication. And so I'm glad y'all was able to get back to a good place, Walt, and that maybe something was seen and heard from that event.
I think it was.
So good. So again, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to the broadcast today. We plan, I think maybe I might have had too many things open on my computer that caused over, because it said that I was on Firefox and it says that it was overpowered or something, something came up. But anytime we're communicating some effective information, something like this happens. So you have to understand that things happen for a reason. And even with a disruption like what we just experienced, the creator will use that to teach us, okay? The creator could have used it to see how we were going to respond. We don't know. You just have to allow your awareness to be aware of what's going on, and then you respond accordingly. So we will see you on next week, and we thank you again for tuning in to this evening's broadcast. May the Creator continue to bless you.
Check.